That word, I call it the N-word. There are two N-words, and you can't use either of them. You can't use either of them.
What just took place at Quantico with Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump should scare you, but also maybe bring you a little bit of joy through Schadenfreude. Because Donald Trump is alarmingly low energy, like troublingly not on it. I don't know if it's too early in the morning. He's still talking. It's 10:21 a.m. right now, Eastern Standard Time here in Washington, D.C. And Donald Trump does not appear well. Sweaty on his upper lip, obviously thrown off his game that he's speaking to a room filled with flag officers, with full generals and senior the highest levels of the enlisted ranks in the military in this room, in this one room, Donald Trump. And he walks out and makes a statement about how it's the most quiet room he's ever spoken to, and it clearly rattles him. But let me remind you of exactly the kind of energy he's bringing. Remember how he used to talk about Jeb Bush as low energy Jeb? Here's a moment that you should remember from Jeb Bush's campaign during the 2016 election, and then we'll compare it to Donald Trump.
So here's my pledge to you. I will be a commander-in-chief that will have the back of the military. I won't trash talk. I won't be a divider-in-chief or an agitator-in-chief. I won't be out there blowharding, talking a big game without backing it up. I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country, to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
That became a famous moment, that please clap moment. Pete Hegseth finished his speech. We waited around for a long time to Donald Trump to show up. Pete Hegseth took back to the podium and introduced, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, to not the kind of reception that Donald Trump would want. Then he walks out and has his own please clap moment.
So ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the 45th and 47th President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, Pete. Great job you're doing, too. Fantastic job. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very... Don't laugh. You're not allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future. But you just feel nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team.
Low energy Jeb, low energy Don. Now, to the part that should alarm you, while maybe still harboring a little bit of glee for the fact that Donald Trump is completely discombobulated. He can't get back on his game because he's not there speaking to a frothing at the mouth filled with MAGA supporters rally. It's professionals. It is people who have dedicated their lives to service to their country. Now, look, of course, there's going to be a few dipshits in the crowd. Not just by virtue of their rank doesn't make them smart. It doesn't make them have good ideology. It doesn't make them have actual love of country. There's probably some Trump sycophants in the room. But largely he was met with a silent room of people listening to his remarks. And his remarks were absolutely unhinged. In this moment, he's still speaking, like I said. I took a screen recording of this moment from the White House YouTube channel where he's talking about nuclear weapons. And he is speaking to the generals like it's the unwashed, low information horde of Fox News viewers who color themselves MAGA supporters, who are members of the cult, who don't have any understanding of national security, of our posture on a global stage, of the technologies that we use to secure ourselves, nuclear included. He's talking to these people like they don't have the highest top secret clearances of all the military. It's very strange. And he does it in a sing-song, low information. Yeah, the nuclear. I rebuilt our nuclear too, as you well know. It's the N-word. It's the other N-word. You're not allowed to say either. President of the United States, I offer unto you.
I rebuilt our nuclear, as you probably know, but we'll upgrade that also and just hope we never have to use it. We have to hope we never have to use it, because the power of that is so incredible. I see things I don't think they'd show it to you. I really wouldn't want them to show it to you. But when you see the result of what's left, you never want to use that. Never, never, ever. We were a little bit threatened by Russia recently, and I sent a submarine, nuclear submarine, the most lethal weapon ever made. Number one, you can't detect it. There's no way. We're 25 years ahead of Russia and China in submarines. Russia's actually second in submarines. China's third, but they're coming up. They're coming up. They're way lower in nuclear too, but in 5 years they'll be equal. They're coming up. And you don't have to be that good with nuclear. You could have 1/20th what you have now and still do the damage that would be, that'd be so horrendous. But I announced that, based on his mention of nuclear, and it was really a stupid person that works for him mentioned the word nuclear, I moved a submarine or two, I won't say about the two, over to the coast of Russia, just to be careful, because we can't let people throw around that word. I call it the N-word. There are two N-words, and you can't use either of them. You can't use either of them. And frankly, if it does get to use, we have more than anybody else. We have better, we have newer, but it's something we don't ever want to even have to think about. But when somebody mentions it, that submarine started immediately thereafter. And it's just lurking, but I'm sure we're not going to have to use it. But it's an amazing, it's undetectable, totally. Ours is, theirs isn't. Theirs are totally detectable. We can detect them easily. We go right to the spot. But we have genius apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all by anybody above water or below water. It's incredible. We're way ahead of everybody in that and other things.
Again, I will make the request for those in the back of the room who apparently haven't heard me say it dozens, if not hundreds of times, to stop electing stupid people to high office. Donald Trump is precisely that. Donald Trump, one, the older he gets, this 80-year-old darling of MAGA world, he needs a nap. Grandpa needs to be attended to. What is he talking about? We have to hope we never have to. No, that's too much energy. We have to hope we never have to use it because the power of that nuclear is so incredible. I see things I don't think that they'd show you. Donald Trump says to a room filled with 1, 2, 3, 4-star generals that they don't know the exhaustive, devastating power of nuclear weapons. Of all people that he would give a speech to, these people, they just don't know. I don't think they'd show that to you, he says. I really wouldn't want to show that to you. But when you see the result of what's left after, I guess, a nuclear weapon is detonated, you never want to use that. Never, ever, ever. Never, never, ever, says Donald Trump. Then he goes on to explain how he moved a submarine as though they're not aware of the movements of our military. Some of these people, it's a need to know. I'm sure some of them don't know the granular level detail of troop movements, of moving our assets from place to place. But he says, I moved a submarine or two. I won't say about the two. You just said about the two. What do you mean you won't say it? You just said it. And then, of course, how Donald Trump is absolutely beside himself with astonishment of stealth technology. But it's an amazing, he tells to generals and senior enlisted people in the military. But it's it's undetectable, totally. Ours is, theirs totally detectable. Ours is totally undetectable. Theirs is totally detectable. Tell us more, Donald Trump. Tell us more, military genius. Tell us more, draft dodger. Are your feet hurting today? Is that what makes you so melancholy, Donald Trump? Is it the bone spurs that are affecting your mood? We can detect them easily. We go right to the spot. But we have genius apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all by anybody above water or below. It's incredible. We're way ahead of everybody in that and other things. Yeah. I call it the N-word, he says. I think waiting for applause or laughter. But these military professionals, they don't think, most of them, don't think racism is funny. These are educated individuals who have an advanced understanding of the social dynamics in our country. Certainly of the military dynamics, certainly of the social dynamics of members of the military. And they know that racism is a pernicious force. We'll talk about Pete Hegseth's video next, or the Pete Hegseth speech next. But these people, they know. There are two N-words and you can't use either of them. And frankly, if it does get to use, we have more than anybody. So if Russia uses a nuclear weapon, we will defeat them with our stockpile of nuclear weapons, thus destroying the earth. Remember MAD from the 80s, from the Cold War, mutually assured destruction. This is the problem with having a stupid mother. I'm trying not to curse as much because it causes a lot of work for producer Chris. Sorry, Chris. I'm not going to do it. This is what happens when you elect someone this stupid to high office, especially the office of President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, is that they don't have an understanding of history, of the consequence of their actions, of not wanting to repeat the same mistakes we've made in the past. Donald Trump is so intellectually incurious, he doesn't have an understanding of these things. He's ensuring we will make the same mistakes. He will proudly do so and claim it as a victory. This is dangerous. This should make you nervous, this speech, this particular 3-minute portion or whatever it was. But this went on for who knows how long. He may be still yammering right now at 10:30. Gone a little long here. He might be.
We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country.
So, of course, it wasn't just Donald Trump who gave a speech to the top-ranked individuals of the United States military, general ranks, the E9s, mainly what I saw in the crowd, sergeants major, command sergeants major from the Army. I don't know, the Air Force ranks are a little weird for me. Master tech sergeant, this or that, stripes that go up and that go down. It's a whole bunch. I admittedly don't know much about the Air Force ranks. But these are responsible people, mostly. Obviously, there's probably some POS that kind of have not been weeded out. who are racists, who are white nationalists in the ranks. Fewer among officers, though, than there are among enlisted. That's just my experience. And Pete Hegseth gave a rousing, bizarre, insane speech. What he hoped would be rousing, because it was to an absolutely silent room who was just taking in the information from their leader, Pete Hegseth, who had a message that if you disagree, this is, by the way, after he had said a bunch of stuff about how we can all disagree, we can have conversations, and that's what it's all about, to get to the truth. After saying a bunch of that kind of thing, he said this about, if you don't like it, you can do the honorable thing and resign right now.
Words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. We would thank you for your service.
That set the tone and the tenor for the morning. It set what the agenda of this entire thing was. A lot of people were concerned that it was going to be some kind of a loyalty pledge to the dear leader himself. And maybe that took place behind closed doors. Who knows? We'll have to see in the coming days. But this was about changing the personnel objectives of the United States military. If you don't like it, get out. If you don't like it, we don't want your divergent opinion. We don't want a multiplicity of ideas to fuel a responsive and dynamic United States military. No, no, no. If you don't like it, GTFO. And then hopefully, I think what his intent is that once we get rid of the wokesters, once we get rid of the people who don't think that slavery was wonderful and a necessary evil for the country, then we can attend to justifying war crimes. We can ensure that people who are Nazis, who are white nationalists, who are racists, who are avowed enemies of the country, they can still stay in the military and end their career there. I'm not just saying it. We're going to back it up right here. We'll begin with the claim about the war crimes, because they want a new breed of individual who has contempt for, disregard for the rules of war. And that might sound oxymoronic, that there are rules of war, but there are rules of war. It starts with the rules of engagement, but it's also how you comport yourself. You can't fire at someone who's just coming down on a parachute if they're not firing at you. You can't you can't kill people who have surrendered. There are rules to warfare. And Pete Hegseth is beside himself that that's the case. He calls rules of engagement stupid in this clip and sets up the culture in the military to disregard those norms, those rules, the international law that sets the stage for these rules. Watch leaky Pete Hegseth, who hasn't seen top secret information he didn't want to tweet about or text about on Signal, talk to his generals.
We are preparing every day. We have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader.
Stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. That language might be normal in some other context, but not coming out of the mouth of Pete Hegseth, who has literally defended people who committed war crimes, murders in a forward operating area. The unjustified shooting, killing of civilians, women and children, Pete Hegseth has defended. And he drives the point home when he says, we all serve at the pleasure of Donald Trump.
You have seen, and the media has obsessed over, I have fired a number of senior officers since taking over. The previous chairman, other members of the Joint Chiefs, combatant commanders, and other commanders. The rationale for me has been straightforward. It's nearly impossible to change a culture with the same people who helped create or even benefited from that culture, even if that culture was created by a previous president and previous secretary. My approach has been simple. When in doubt, assess the situation, follow your gut, and if it's the best for the military, make a change. We all serve at the pleasure of the president every single day.
Now that he set the loyalty stage, now what he wants to do is lessen the standards for your run-of-the-mill everyday warfighters, your members of the military, your lance corporals in the Marine Corps, your corporals, your sergeants. He wants them to look an unblemished record. I think that's the term he uses here. The term of art he's using here. You shouldn't have your career ruined if you have an unblemished record, if you've done something wrong, if you've made a mistake. And I believe that to be true. We all deserve redemption and forgiveness for some of the mistakes we've made. But some things are disqualifying. And that's the thing he's talking about. He's talking about racism. He's talking about bigotry. He's talking about hate speech. He's talking about joining an insurrection against the country on January 6, 2021. That if that's on your service record, that shouldn't end your career. Violating your oath to the Constitution and attempting to overthrow the United States government. Oh, come on, guys. You want to end a guy's career for that? Yeah. Watch this.
And NCOs don't take necessary risks or make tough adjustments for fear of rocking the boat or making mistakes. A blemish-free record is what peacetime leaders covet the most, which is the worst of all incentives. We, as senior leaders, need to end the poisonous culture of risk aversion and empower our NCOs at all levels to enforce standards.
And not only that, they are overhauling the Inspector General processes through which investigations get done to investigate where there are sexual assault allegations, where there are systemic issues of failure within the ranks. They're going to allow these failures to take place. They're going to promote the failure of our troops, of our unit. And if you don't believe me, just listen to Pete Hegseth.
We are overhauling an Inspector General process, the IG, that has been weaponized, putting complainers, ideologues, and poor performers in the driver's seat. We're doing the same with the equal opportunity and military equal opportunity policies, the EO and MEO at our department. No more frivolous complaints, no more anonymous complaints, no more repeat complainants, no more smearing reputations, no more endless waiting, no more legal limbo, no more sidetracking careers, no more walking on eggshells.
See, all of that language coming from him, knowing what we know about Pete Hegseth, knowing what we know about the man that he is loyal to over the Constitution, over his duty as the leader of the Department of Defense, that tells you everything. When he's talking about no more walking on eggshells, no more frivolous complaints. Those words do a lot of heavy lifting. Walking on eggshells, frivolous complaints, says the man who's credibly accused of raping women, the drunkard. He would call those frivolous complaints. Are those frivolous complaints, or are those serious things that need to be rooted out in order to ensure good order and discipline within the ranks? Good and decent unit cohesion, to build morale, to strengthen esprit de corps, which is something Donald Trump talked about outside the White House today, having no idea what it is, having never served in the military, having his number was called and he got out of it because of the feat. Oh, this hero, this patriot. Donald Trump, who molests the flag. Pete Hegseth, who violates flag code with his American flag belt buckle. The American flag inner lining of his coat. The American flag pocket silk. All of that violates flag code. But to the patriot, Pete Hegseth, the man who wants to promote war crimes, the man who wants to promote racism in the ranks, not to him. Anyway, what do you think? Did you watch this? I welcome your feedback here. You can comment below this video wherever you're watching. You can also call the voicemail line. But before you do, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and you like and follow the page over on Facebook, Dollemore Daily. Then you can comment and you can call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me as always, daily@dollemore.com. And if you choose to help support this work with $2 a month, you can become a channel member on YouTube. Click the join button below the video or just on the channel. And you can go to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast.
There's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters.
The dementia parade of Donald Trump, featuring Donald Trump, the dear leader whose wardrobe and clothing they're so luxurious, although he's naked, it continues. The other day, he posted, then deleted a weird video that promised through policy of the government, an AI video of himself that he shared, that he never said the things, that promised alien conspiracy technology to heal, to regrow limbs, to de-age people through med beds. And I think he realized, oh shit, I thought that was real. That's not real. I'm stupid. I'm demented. My cognition is really suffering here. But he did it again. He shared another video while we all are hovering undercover in the shadow of a looming government shutdown. Donald Trump is posting racist AI videos of Chuck Schumer talking outside the White House, standing next to Hakeem Jeffries, saying a bunch of racist shit with like a mariachi band playing and a sombrero and a big mustache onto Hakeem Jeffries. AI. So I guess the question, I'll get to the point here, but I guess the question is, if Donald Trump thought the alien technology medbed thing was real, that featured him, he thought that was real, maybe he thinks this is real. Does Donald Trump think that Chuck Schumer is bad-mouthing Democrats and saying a bunch of weird shit while standing next to Hakeem Jeffries with a sombrero and a big handlebar mustache? In any other timeline, I would have said, no, there's no way that he thought that was real. He knows that's fake. But I don't know. How can we be sure that Dementia Dawn doesn't think this is real? First, let me play the actual video of Chuck Schumer talking about the getting nowhere with Donald Trump. We all knew it would go nowhere. Chuck Schumer demanding to compromise and negotiate with Donald Trump in the White House. It's going, no, what are you doing? Resign, get somebody in the position who can actually fight, both you and Hakeem Jeffries. But here, watch him, and then we'll play the racist AI video from Donald Trump.
President, for the first time since all of these issues started, even though we have requested repeated meetings with Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, and the President, we have very large differences on health care and on their ability to undo whatever budget we agree to through rescissions and through impoundment, as well as pocket rescissions. And I think for the first time, the President heard our objections and heard why we needed a bipartisan bill. Their bill has not one iota of Democratic input. That is never how we've done this before. When I was leader, we negotiated 4 times with Republicans, and we never had a shutdown. And so it's up to the Republicans whether they want to shut down or not.
First of all, the things they're asking for are absolutely good and decent things that should be in there. For Donald Trump to have the power to rescissions they're talking about, it's after the fact, after the budget is passed, after after it's been negotiated and voted on and passed through and signed by the president, that's law. That's the way it is. But Donald Trump wants the ability to claw back spending that's already been approved and signed into law. They want to save healthcare, the Democrats. Of course they want to save healthcare. Millions and millions of people will be kicked off their insurance, or their insurance will double or triple their premiums every single month. I pay like $1,600 a month for health, and it's not even the top tier plan. Are they going to make me pay $3,200 a month? Double or triple? Are they going to do that to you? That's what they want. And we know that because they're not taking this seriously. I mean, either Donald Trump, this video I'm getting ready to play, the racist mariachi band and the sombrero and the AI Schumer voice, either he thinks it's real, which is very troubling, or he thinks so little of shutting down the government, so little of his responsibility as commander-in-chief and president of the United States, that he's distracting in this moment with this video.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
It's just, I mean, it's patently racist. It's a white supremacist conspiracy that they're playing on here, the Great Replacement Theory, which back in the 90s was something that white power movement people would whisper about in their living rooms to other racists, to other neo-Nazis. But now, because of Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump and the Republican Party generally, this is A-OK. This is normalized. It's mainstreamed. And look, we need to call it what it is, which is racist. This is racism. This is white supremacy. And I'm not going to tell a black man how to respond to racism, how to call it what it is. And Hakeem Jeffries can do his own thing. My problem with it is that he's a political leader. He wants to be Speaker of the House of Representatives. He represents more than just himself in this moment. And I believe it's important to call it what it is. And he doesn't do that. He was on MSNBC, and this is how he responded to it.
Fake video, people are going to see it. They'll see it in other ways. It's easy to find, but it is absolutely disgusting in every way. It is a lie. It's the man you met with has now lied about what you said after that meeting. Could you give us your reaction to that Trump posted video tonight?
It's a disgusting video, and we're going to continue to make clear bigotry will get you nowhere. We are fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault on all the things: Medicaid, Medicare, the Affordable Care Act. Republicans are closing our hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health clinics, and have effectively shut down medical research in the United States of America. Clearly, Donald Trump and Republicans know that they have a very weak position, because they are hurting everyday Americans while continuing to reward their billionaire donors, just like they did in that one big ugly bill with massive tax breaks. Democrats are united in the House and the Senate, and the point that we've made will continue to be clear. We are fighting to lower the high cost of health care, prevent these dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles that will take place in a matter of days unless Republicans are willing to act in terms of renewing the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
While the Chiron reads Trump posts racist AI video, he calls it disgusting and that bigotry will get you nowhere. He's telling the man that bigotry got him to the White House. Apparently, bigotry will get you somewhere in the United States of America, and it's the Oval Office. This is weak leadership on the part of Hakeem Jeffries. This is weak leadership on the part of Chuck Schumer. This talking about the numbers. We're beyond the old political order. Leader Jeffries, we're beyond that. We're beyond begging and pleading with Donald Trump to come to the negotiation table because you want to negotiate with bad faith actors and liars. They're not partners in governance. When are we going to stop considering Republicans partners in governance who can be negotiated with? They are liars. They are white supremacists. They are chaos agents. They are fascists. They want the destruction of America and the Constitution. Why would you want to negotiate with that? It's a failure all across the board. And I know I'm giving fire here to Democrats, and people don't like that. When obviously the most egregious thing here that I'm talking about is Donald Trump's racism and his bigotry and his hatred, the vile, sickening division that he sows. Yeah, of course that. But if we want leaders who are going to actually put up a fight, we need them. And it's going to be on all of us to either tell Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to get their shit together or resign and let somebody step up who's actually going to be in the fight. Because we're talking about the lives and livelihoods and well-beings of tens of millions of Americans who will be harmed by Republican policy. The soft tones in their speech and their earnest sounding proclamations about negotiation, we're past that. They're arresting members of Congress, have been indicted for assaulting law. We are in fascism, folks. Hakeem, Chuck, do you hear me? Can you hear me? We're beyond negotiation. Stop voting for Donald Trump's agenda. Stop voting for his legislation. If a dysfunctional, harmful government is to be shut down tonight at midnight, let it shut down. If the government that is kidnapping and disappearing people off the streets, arresting United States citizens along with migrants, let it shut down. Fine. Maybe some of the harm can be stopped, can be delayed, can be slowed in some manner. But the rest of us know those programs that he's so worried about being defunded have already been gutted. You can't put this on Democrats, Mike. We know. This is what you're going to be seeing over the course of the next several hours. The government is scheduled, if no deal is reached, to shut down at 12:01 midnight tomorrow morning, meaning late tonight. Caroline Leavitt and many other Republicans are trying to pin this government shutdown on Democrats. Of course they are. This is the standard operating procedure of these liars, these conspiracy theorists, these chaos agents. It's just what it is. But don't listen to it, because I have here the receipts, like I always bring, of just how they're lying, just how they're creating a distraction and giving MAGA talking points to run with and ideas to believe that are false. This is a tweet from Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, where she says Democrats should not shut down the federal government. And it was a quote tweet from the White House that said, "They said it, and now they want you to forget. A government shutdown would crush hardworking Americans. The truth speaks for itself." Hilarious seeing the White House talk about truth. But we know that this is what they want. We know that this is what they want because they've got more pain in store for Americans. They've got more firing to do of federal workers. They've got poor people, needy people, hungry people, sick people who are in need that they are going to unceremoniously, yet in a celebratory fashion, yank the rug out from under. And how do I know this? Well, Russell Vogt, the ghoul, was on with Steve Bannon yesterday talking about the impending shutdown, and he categorized it as, well, it's something that it's actually what's necessary, he says, the government shutdown, to pass these bills individually, because how else will you get moderates to vote for spending cuts? This is what they want. This is in the plans. This is part of the objective. So for them to blame it on Democrats is hilarious, weak, transparent. Watch Russell vote.
That's clearly going to blow through the 30th. How do we fight off a CR? A government shutdown, they make it the biggest deal. It's not the end of the world. We should not bend it all on a CR, because then we've given the heroin addict a taste of heroin again. Have we not, Russ?
I don't think anyone should be afraid of a government shutdown. I managed it for President Trump. We made it as painless as possible, consistent with the law. And it's actually what's necessary to pass these bills individually, is because how else are you going to get moderates to vote for spending cuts if they're not up against the fact that they need to pass these things to get out of a shutdown themselves? So I think there should be no talk about a stopgap measure at this point. They need to be focused squarely on moving these bills and doing the best they can. It's going to be, Matt Gaetz was right. Some of the amendments that we would support may not pass.
You heard him say it. There's nobody who's more plugged in to the Trump agenda than this Project 2025 ghoul, than this white Christian nationalist, this racist ghoul who has been given outsized power within the Trump administration. He's saying it. You can believe him when he says it. He's talking to one of the high priests in Donald Trump's cult, Steve Bannon. Sean Hannity has also similar talking points. Not quite as honest, of course. It's Mike Johnson. He really can't speak without lying, just like Jesus would do. Mr. Moses Mike, Mr. Evangelical Christian, lover of Jesus and his teachings and philosophies, lover of Christianity. Here he is on Sean Hannity, repeating a lie that he said outside the White House that maybe I'll play for you about, well, they're going to be taking money from hungry babies, from the WIC program, women, infant, and children. This nutrition assistance program that they've already gutted, Mike Johnson has finally found some passion for. Watch him lie to Hannity and the American people.
It's kind of, Orwellian, because they came out and were acting somewhat optimistic, like they might get what they want. You're telling me there's no way in hell. And I think I know Donald Trump pretty well. I've known him about 30 years. There's no way in hell Donald Trump is giving in on any one of those issues. It's not going to happen.
No way. No way. And he wanted to give them a forum in the Oval Office to come in and try to be reasonable. And they weren't. They wouldn't back off on any of these crazy demands. So let me tell you something. There is zero daylight between the White House, the President of the United States, and Republicans in the Senate and the House. We are all united on this. We're going to do the right thing. Remember this, Sean. We passed the clean, simple CR out of the House 2 weeks ago. Every single Democrat in the House, except one, voted to shut the government down. I mean, they're willing to do it. They're willing to exact all this pain. And by the way, while you mentioned some of the things that will continue, defense and all that, troops don't get paid during a shutdown, okay? And very importantly, health care. They want to talk about health care. If they don't fund the government, guess what does stop? The WIC program. That's Women, Infants, and Children Nutrition Program won't be funded. We won't have FEMA funded, right? We've got hurricane season. We've got 2 off the coast of the United States right now. FEMA service is not funded. Telemedicine, mental health services, all these things that the American people need, and they won't be able to access if the Democrats go through with this. So I certainly pray they don't. They have another chance because Leader Thune's going to put the House bill on the Senate floor again tomorrow and probably again on Wednesday. And we'll see if Chuck Schumer goes along with this.
Oh, and we won't have FEMA funded. We won't have FEMA funded they've already defunded. They're already claiming they're not going to be giving emergency aid or assistance to states, I guess unless maybe you're red states. If you're a blue state, you got wildfire, you're on your own. But it's the same talking point about WIC. By the way, they have gutted WIC. They've gutted food assistance programs across the board because of the one big beautiful bill. And this talking point wasn't the first time. Again, he said it outside the White House just hours before he said that on Hannity. Here he is.
Their counterproposal, what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are demanding, is that they claw back the $50 billion that we put into the rural hospital support structure. They want to take that back. We're not going to do that. We passed that because we have to allow for that. Also, if they shut the government down, not only are troops unpaid, federal workers, and all the services that everybody relies upon, but the WIC program, the nutrition program, women, infant, and children, they will not get that program, will not be funded. FEMA won't be funded. We have hurricanes off the coast of the United States right now. This is serious business. You have telehealth, you have mental health services, all that's funded by the government would stop if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats have their way. The Democrat shutdown would be damaging for the country. We can't allow for it.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Oh, FEMA won't be funded again. He said it. Oh, yeah. He's locked in. He got his talking points. He got his marching orders. He's repeating it ad nauseum. But the rest of us know those programs that he's so worried about being defunded have already been gutted. You can't put this on Democrats, Mike. We know. We listen. We see what Russell Vogt says. We know the history. We can go back and look at government shutdowns from the past and how gleeful Republicans were, how motivated they were to shut down the federal government, to harm federal workers, to harm veterans, to harm the poor, to harm the sick, to harm the hungry. We know. This is what is at stake here, though. This is why the midterms, everyone should be paying attention, because this should fuel your fire to get involved in the midterms, to vote these ghouls out of office.
There's really no doubt in my mind that this was fully intentional from the Trump administration to the Chitterelli campaign. If he's doing this to me, a sitting member of Congress and a veteran, imagine what he'll do with your information.
I talked the other day about the illegal release of unredacted service records of Navy veteran, helicopter pilot, actual patriot who served honorably in the United States Navy, Mikey Sherrill, congresswoman from New Jersey, running for governor of New Jersey. And there's an update. There's more details. It seems as though it wasn't like a gift left for Jack Chitterelli, the non-veteran, the man who had the opportunity to serve, healthy, war-fighting age, could have signed up, could have volunteered, could have put his feet on the yellow footprints, like we like to say in the Marine Corps, could have signed his name on the dotted line and enlisted or served as an officer, chose not to, refused to serve, and then sought the service record, the unredacted service record of his opponent, Mikey Sherrill, and it was gleefully given by Donald Trump and the ghouls that now run the National Archives. Marco Rubio runs the National Archives, I guess. Also the Secretary of State, and also runs USAID, and also runs, what's the other one? Oh, the National Security Council. Yeah. Which means Stephen Miller really runs all that stuff. So you should not be surprised at all that they are colluding with the Republican campaign of Jack Chitterelli to harm the candidacy of a Democrat, in this case, a veteran who served honorably, a Naval Academy graduate, to the betterment of a fascist Republican who's in the Trump cult, who wants New Jersey schools segregated, where black children can't go to school with white children. He said it. It's not coming from me. He said it. Watch Mikey Sherrill really giving the lay of the land here. Yesterday, she talked about this. And I want you to put yourself in her shoes. There are millions and millions of veterans out there. How would you feel if your personal, your social security numbers, your family information, your residences, all of the granular level life details that go into a service record, if they were just unceremoniously given to your opponent, to people who view you as an enemy? This is what's at stake here. This is what they've done. As they cry about election interference, they're literally interfering in elections. Watch Mikey Sherrill
to the press, the journalist who got it told them this should not be out here. In fact, he wrote a whole article about it and warned them that this was not information. And yet they continued to push this information out and have not given it back, have not ceased using it. So it really, what they're putting out is just not true. And then furthermore, when we look at how this happened, when we worked with the journalist who was presented with this information and went back to the archivist to see how this happened, there's no mistake that was made here. This was intentional. And I'll tell you, if you speak to the professional archivists that were there, remember Trump fired them, and now Marco Rubio is in charge of the archives, not a professional archivist. You'll hear that it takes months, if not over a year, to get access because they're so behind. And yet what happened here was there was a request for my data a day before my primary, and the gentleman from the ally of the Ciattarelli campaign was told, no, you can't have this. You need to meet certain wickets to get it. And then 2 days after the primary that I won, he found, and I quote, a real helpful person at the archives office to get that information to them. Now, here's what should have happened. The archives should have requested a signature of mine. They didn't have it. They should have had my social security number. The way they got that was that a technician in the archives went into the VA database, which they had access to as a federal agency. We would not have access to that, to get my social security number, to then pull my files, which they then gave to this ally of the Ciattarelli campaign. Then they should have told the Navy that they had done so. They never did that. And so there's really no doubt in my mind that this was fully intentional from the Trump administration to the Ciattarelli campaign to attempt to do this. And they've continued now to go after my family, my husband's service, my kids, in a completely inappropriate way. So I just have to say to the New Jersey people, if he's doing this to me, a sitting member of Congress and a veteran, imagine what he'll do with your information.
They tried to get these records. And when they were met with a little bit of opposition, they did a runaround and they got them. They asked for them and they were willingly given. This wasn't this envelope showed up in the mail. Look at what we've got. I guess we'll use it. That's not what we're talking about here. They violated her privacy. They violated her service to the country. This is disrespectful, not just to Mikey Sherrill. This is disrespectful to me as a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. If you served in the military, this is a slap in the face to you. If they can do it to a sitting United States Congresswoman who will likely be the next governor of Virginia, you don't think they can violate your rights, your privacy, denigrate your service? No. They can and they will. Because fascism always needs an opponent. It always needs an enemy. And when they vanquish all of their enemies, when all the James Comeys are gone, they're coming for you too. If you're in Jersey, you got a choice. And Mikey Sherrill is that choice. Jack Ciattarelli is not a patriot. He's a physical coward who refused to serve his country. And he's an ally of Donald Trump. There's not a policy of Donald Trump that he'll speak against. He literally wants segregated schools in 2025. You're running for governor in the wrong century, pal. Anyway, I would love your feedback on this, veteran or non-veteran. Before you do, subscribe to this channel on YouTube. We are marching steadily ahead to 1.5 million subscribers. I really hope to get there by the end of the year. And with your help, we can do that. You can also go like and follow the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily. I don't know why the Facebook page is always right here and subscribing is always right here. I always just do that. Anyway, if you want to sound off about this topic, I'd love to hear from you. You can comment below the video wherever you're watching it. You can also call my voicemail line and leave me a brief, please keep them brief, a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. Thanks for your patriotism, your actual patriotism, your real patriotism. So happy I don't have an audience filled with fake triots, but I don't have an audience filled with Republicans. So I guess they just go hand in hand. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.